Okay guys, so today is the day I'm going to install the plow mounts onto the truck, the Western plow mounts. This is a straightforward deal. You know, you got a mount right here that goes to the factory tow hooks, and then you've got a bolt there that goes up. There's supposed to be a factory tow hook there too, and then there's two mounts that are further back on the frame on the crossover up front. It would be an easy bolt-on this truck, but because of this conversion, the guy used the tow hook mounts for part of the bumper mounts. So I've got to change that before I can install my Western mounts. He's only got mounting points here and there, here and there. There's nothing on the sides, no side supports. So this bumper is just kind of flopping there. He didn't finish up the side mounts. So I'm going to have to kind of rework the whole mounting of this front bumper. So what I did is I went and ordered 11 to 13 HD side brackets. I actually got the whole bumper bracket kit. I don't exactly know where they all go. I do know they're marked left and right. That's about all I know. So hopefully I'm hoping I can put all these mounts together, maybe rework some of them to get this to work out. I do have some factory Chevy side brackets that'll bolt onto this frame. Hopefully I can maybe use them to make it easier for me to do this conversion. But yeah, gonna have to do some work tonight. The mounts that he made down here ain't too bad. They don't look too bad. I just can't use them because they're in the tow hook mounts. And then there's some mounts further up here. I don't really like them. They kind of look chintzy to me. So hopefully I'm going to get a nice factory looking setup here that I can work with. And also, you know, give the bumper some structure so it can actually do, you know, what it's designed to do if I do hit something. Right now it would just kind of fold over and really not protect anything or do anything. So having some supports and structure behind it, not only going to give me a better mount, but the bumper will be able to do what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to get started taking some things off, looking some things over, trying to figure out where all these mounts go, and I'll be back with you guys. Okay, with the bumper off, you can get a better idea. The brackets he made, I mean, these ones are pretty beefy. They ain't bad. If I wasn't doing a plow on this thing, you know, these would probably work. These ones up here, I do not like these ones at all. They look pretty bad. Also, they've cracked this top piece, so I'm going to need a new one of those. You should have trimmed that off there, and he wouldn't have cracked it, but yeah, cracked both sides. Both of these are doing that. So this thing, oh, this one looks really bad. So we're going to get rid of them. I think this top cap's got to come off. I got to figure out how these side brackets go on. I have no idea how they go on there. With the bumper off, you can kind of get a little better look here at what he did for this conversion too. You can see it looks like he chopped off the part of the core support right there. It goes out a little ways, I think. I've got some aluminum brackets here. This is holding the fender. They don't look bad. The only thing here, as I'm seeing, is a lot of self-tapping screws, and I really don't know how strong that would be. You know, it would have been nice to have probably put some nut certs in this radiator or something. But you know, overall, not a bad job. The wiring here, I don't know. I think I can do better than that. I don't know what them are covering up. Hopefully not those quick tap things. It feels like one of those quick tap things, but I think we can do better than that. We can do better than that. I got to get into the wiring here when I start wiring up my plow, so we'll figure that out. I'm not exactly sure what he did with the headlights here, how he got it wired in. He said he used the original 99 bulbs, so I'm not exactly sure how that worked out. Don't really know what he's got. But same thing on this side. Also, you can see the frame I'm going to. Right there are the tow hook mounts, and actually now that I'm looking at it, it looks like he drilled new holes. He's got different holes drilled there. These are the factory tow hook holes, I think, right here. He drilled them out there, so yeah, I don't know if I'll weld them up or not, but we'll see here. Okay, so I got my brackets figured out here. Both sides. This bigger bracket bolts onto the bumper with a whole bunch of 6mm bolts. More 6mm bolts. Bolts this on for the side support. And then we've got this one. I'm going to need some bigger bolts. It bolts to the bracket here. And then it looks like it slides between the frame of the pickup. This is going to be a little more difficult, this mount here, because there is no frame piece there. I don't think anyway. I got to set it up there to see. These side pieces look like they're going to be pretty easy to figure out how to get a support to this bolt here. I think I'm just going to be able to use the old factory type bracket that just bolts onto the frame. I may have to cut this up, kind of reposition it and weld it up, but it should be easy compared to this main mount here. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I mean, the easy thing would be to weld a frame addition onto the old frame so that this would, you know, act like it does on the new truck, but I'm not sure how much work that's going to be. I may just leave this out and work off of that. I don't know. I got to mock it up here. I got to get some jack stands or something to hold this up in place so I can take a look at the situation. When I get it figured out, I'll be back. Okay, so after a mock up here, it's come pretty obvious that if I want to use these brackets here, I'm going to have to do some cutting on this frame. I'll have to cut off. It's got a bumper bracket for the original bumper. So I'll probably have to cut that off and then make my own adapter off of the frame. If I want to use these original brackets that, you know, every 11 to 13 HD runs, I think that's the better thing to do. You know, just in case I have to get a new bumper, all I have to do is pretty much bolt it on. I would like to get the bumper with the fog lights, and if I do too much modification to where I got to modify a bunch of stuff, you know, getting a new bumper is not going to be fun at all. So I think what I'm going to do is just, like I said, cut the brackets off, the original bumper brackets off, and then I'll have to make something. So off the bumper's got to come, and then I'll show you the brackets I got to cut off. Okay, so here's the bracket I got to cut off, and I got a really good idea on how to reuse this, I think. The hard part of all this is going to be cutting it off because it's welded in the back there. That ain't so bad, but it's welded on the inside there. So I'll have to take a Sawzall or something and kind of cut this weld off, and hopefully it won't be too hard, but I think getting it back on is going to be a whole lot easier. I got a slick idea, I think. Okay, so I got one off, and those factory welds are no joke. I mean, they weld the stuff on good. Grinder and Sawzall with lots of batteries here, and I'm eventually getting it off. Hammer and chisel, popping or breaking the weld when I can, but that one's off. Got to clean up the frame, get it ready for the new bracket. That bracket's got to come off. I'm taking a break though, and yeah, I'm going to modify this bracket a little bit so it can work with the factory brackets there. I'll show you when I get that figured out. Okay, so I got both brackets off the truck and I've modified them quite a bit. Had to trim some of the bottom off, the back, added a nut right there where the bumper is going to bolt to on the top side. Also, I cut off that piece on both of them because there's no sense in having brackets on these things that are going to do nothing. One thing I'm going to have to add as soon as I mock it up one more time is another brace going across there, right about here. That's going to have another piece of flat stock there, or maybe angle iron, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to weld another nut on the inside of that so I can bolt the bottom mount of the bumper to that. So this one's right here is cooling. Got to do a little bit of grinding on the inside for that bracket that I'm going to put. Then these are ready to be mocked up. I'm going to put them on the frame. I'm going to slide them on the frame there, and then I'll put the bumper up, get it in position. Once that's in position, I'll be able to get these brackets on the frame where they need to be. I'll clamp them down, probably spot weld them. Then I got to make this bracket here, and I'll spot weld that. Then I'll take the bumper completely off, and we'll burn these in to the frame for good. And yeah, then we'll move on to the side mounts. Okay, so I'm welding up the holes that this guy added for his bumper mounts. These holes, there was a hole right there, and these are the original holes for the tow hooks. So I'm welding up his holes just to make sure the frame is strong enough. The plow is big, it's heavy, it's 1,000 pounds, so I just don't want no cracking or something happening, so I'm welding them up. The way I'm doing that is I've clamped a piece of aluminum behind it. This is obviously steel frame, and then I'm filling in the hole with weld. The aluminum will not weld itself to the steel. It just creates kind of a backing plate for me, so the weld doesn't fall through into the frame there. So I got a nice solid fill in there. Okay, so one last modification here. I had to cut the nut off the bottom of this bracket, this factory bracket, because I'm going to put a piece of flat stock above it, and I'm going to weld a nut above it, because there's no way to actually get your hand in there to put a nut on there. So that's what I'm going to do with this. Okay, so there they are, all done. Welded on. They look like they could be factory once I get them painted. This piece here I added to hold the bottom mount of the bracket there, and I just kind of stole the design from the original bracket. They had a piece there and it was butted up against the frame, and what that's going to do, I think, is if you have an impact, it's going to support this whole bracket by not allowing it to rotate backwards or really move at all. So it's just like another support, and it functions as another mount for me too. So we got this side here. Again, same piece, just kind of opposite. Mount up top, mount down below, and everything's good. Okay, so with all my brackets completed, I'm ready to do I guess a last test fit, just to make sure when I was welding or something, something didn't go terribly wrong. But everything should be okay, but I just want to make sure before I pull it off, and I'm going to do some painting, and I think I got everything ground down nice and everything, so just pretty much kind of scuff it up and paint the areas that Took the bare metal off. So I'm going to get to test fitting here. Okay, so these are the side brackets that I made up. Basically what I did is I took a factory Chevy side bracket, cut it in two right here after the end of it, and then I bolted everything up and then took a piece of pipe and slid it over the two pieces to connect them. Also, I had to bend this pretty good, but I was able to get it all to work. I think it looks fine and it's gonna function good. So them are done, ready for paint. Well, that's it. So takes a little bit of wiggling and pushing and squeezing here and there to get everything lined up, but I'm happy with it. So I get to pull this thing off yet again and then clean everything up, coat it with some black paint. Okay, so with a coat of black paint, everything pretty much looks factory. You wouldn't have many people know that that wasn't a factory mount. So I'm gonna get first I'm gonna install my plow brackets and bolt them on. Then we'll install the bumper and then probably go do a test fit, make sure everything's gonna clear here. Okay, so I got my mounts pretty much mounted here, but I'm doing this mount here a little different. Usually this is where the tow hook goes, and I usually reuse the tow hook, but in this application the tow hook ain't gonna do me any good with this bumper. So the mounts come with these right here, and they actually slide like this one here inside the frame, and then you bolt it in there like that. This is actually the first time I've used these brackets, because like I said, most of the time, or every time I've used the tow hooks there. Probably I'm gonna figure something out that'll go into this Western mount and give me like a shackle type thing. I think that's gonna work out the best for this situation. I gotta get this one over there on that side before I forget. And these mounts are buttoned up. Okay, so it looks like everything's gonna work out. Spacing of the bumper and everything. Truck might actually be a little higher than the dually was, or maybe the plow just sank into the ground a little bit. But that was actually set for the dually, and I think it raised the plow up a little bit. So it looks like it's gonna work. I don't know about the air dam. May have to do some trimming on that. I might have to have a winter air dam and a summer air dam maybe, so that'll be interesting. Whenever that gets here, I ordered it 2 weeks ago, still haven't seen it, so when that gets here I'll have to deal with it then. But I guess that's gonna do it for this one, guys. First hookup of the plow. I don't have any electrical in it, so I can't do anything else with it, but hopefully soon. I'll see you guys in the next one.